It's exactly 5 minutes after 8. Welcome to AM Talk here on the AM show. Your comments are still very on 056800,000. My guest this morning, the Honorable Osei Swamwa, is MP for Ikwapim South Constituency. He joins us on Talk this morning. Hello, thank you, sir, for coming.
Thank you, Harvey, for having me here.
Mr. Francis Pamdeti is the head of public affairs with the Ghana Immigration Service, and I'm sure once we have him, you know what our first conversation is. Good morning. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
Yeah. We're talking the threats that the incident that happened in Burkina Faso is posing because we share border with Burkina Faso. We've been told by the Interior Minister, may I say the outgoing Interior Minister, that security has been tightened around our borders. So what exactly is being done on the ground? We have our correspondent that will be speaking to Albert Sorry also within this conversation. So Mr. Pamdeti, what's the plan on the ground since you are the center of border security?
We've been following developments in Ouagadougou. For some time now, we have stepped up patrol activities because we think that the sub-region has these brewing terrorist elements, and following the global situation, every country is called upon to be vigilant and alert. So our external partners, we've been collaborating with our external partners with regards to such activities. But with particular reference to what's happening in Ouagadougou, we have increased our patrol activities around the borders, both the approved and unapproved routes. Our director has issued directives to all our regional commanders, all our sector commanders and BPE operatives to increase vigilance and patrols. But at the border, we also collaborate with other security services. We have BNI, intelligence, the police, all others, which form up what we call the BOSIC, are all on high alert. We, with the cooperation of our citizens who live along the borders, we should be able to identify any individual who looks suspicious.
Is there something else that is informing this heightened security measures? Is it because of the unfortunate incident that happened in Ouagadougou, or we actually have some feedback that something's going to happen to us here in Ghana?
Usually in the month of December, when most people are enjoying the Christmas festivities, we increase our operations because we know during that period the tendency to have miscreants take advantage of the fun mood is high. So we don't go on leave. Men are always on the ground during December. So it's just a spillover into January because people are now coming back to work, and with the information we've had in Ouagadougou, we just felt that we just have to keep the same posture going forward.
Do you feel that the measures that we have are tight enough to prevent any unfortunate incidents of terrorists attacking us?
Thank you and good morning again. Well, in the first place, Ghanaians are anxious. Ghanaians are anxious for various reasons. Maybe listen to Ghanaians. What has happened in Burkina Faso has come very close home. So it's heightening the anxiety. Of course, before it even happened, people were linking the coming of the Gitmo detainees to Ghana as something that may draw attention to us. As to how far that is linked, it's another matter. But people have started discussing terrorism, the implications of those here. And then all of a sudden, we had this Burkina incident. So it's heightened the anxiety, and people want to be assured that indeed we are safe. But as to whether we are safe, it's another matter, because is it now that the service is looking at those who are entering, or they've done that already, or they've been doing it? And if they've been doing it, what has come out? Is it that they are able to know those who enter and those who are required to leave, but who don't leave and still stay? And if they are staying, what are they doing for overstaying? Is it that they have the profile of all these persons, and they know how to clamp down on such persons if they don't have any reason for staying here. And for us in the ECOWAS, it's even more difficult because of the free movement. And it's easy for anybody then to plan along those lines that as for ECOWAS, you can have a way of entering another country, and then there will be less restrictions than if you were to come outside the ECOWAS region. So it's the assurance we need, not only from immigration, but all the security services. And then also, beyond assurance, education. How do we all help in averting such situations? How do we report on suspicious movements? How do we have the link between certain persons in the security so that we can relay such information to them, and then they will act promptly on some of these things? It's for all of us to have a certain collective resolve that we should assist in providing security. But if you look at what has happened to even powerful nations like France, like Belgium, and even in the United States, this is a major thing that is not easy to address. And you need cooperation and assistance, not only from even neighboring countries, but even from countries who are well-resourced and who have better management skills when it comes to these things. And to pray that you don't have one mad person sneaking through and then causing so much damage. Because if it's about fundamentalism, the person is not scared to, in dying, he wants to take a lot of people along. So he comes to stay in a hotel, he looks harmless, but if the hotel authorities are not well briefed about how to assess every person who enters, he decides peak period when he thinks there's an event just to blow himself off. And everybody around also gets involved, especially where the target is nationals from certain countries, especially those in the Western world. So it's scary, and Ghanaians need to be assured. And even though for security, it's not everything that they can tell the average Ghanaian that they are doing. There needs to be some assurance, otherwise it will restrict even our movement and freedom. If people think that certain places are patronized by nationals from Western countries, and they become soft targets for such persons, then you find the indigenous people staying away so that they are not really, they don't become casualties and suffer some of these things when they are not intended persons. Because all over the place, like the Burkina situation, a lot of Burkinabés have lost their lives. They tell us that they were not the intended victims, but they become victims. So there's a lot we need to do. What is our security situation? Are we investing in security, or is it just recruiting and then taking care of those we've recruited? Or we have to go beyond that. For instance, CCTVs, how do we use them?
Do we even have them?
Do we even have them? We have them maybe on the highways, a few of them, but in neighborhoods and slums, we have a way of checking. I know certain neighborhoods, you go and it's been more or less taken over by people from other countries. They are ready to even fly their flag there. And some of them, we want to know what is their mission here. Is it only for business, trade purposes, for economic migration, or do they have intentions? So it's a very difficult thing. And
sure. Yeah, we're going to be speaking to our correspondent Albert Sorry, who's been going around a few of the places. He will tell us what his findings have been. So Albert, if you can hear me, good morning to you. Hello, Albert Sorry.
Hello, Mama V. Good.
Yes,
good
Albert,
morning.
good morning. How are you?
I'm well. That's
Albert,
fine.
sure. Albert, tell us where you've been and what you found.
Yes, I was at the Ghana-Burkina Faso border at Paga yesterday to try and speak to the immigration officials there to get to understand what our security situation is, what they are doing, following what happened in Ouagadougou. Now, I didn't see any visible signs of tight security. I visited the Paga border several times last year, the last time in December, and nothing had changed. People were going about their normal days. There wasn't so much security, except for one military vehicle, which I saw patrolling. Nothing had changed. At the immigration office, there were a few officers of the immigration who were just around at their various posts. Apart from that, there was nothing that, showed, that they had increased the number of security personnel or anything like that. So I spoke to the assistant controller, the assistant controller of immigration for the Paga Sector Command, Francis Techi, and what he said was that they are concentrating on the unapproved entry points because their anticipation is that if people like terrorists want to come into the country, most likely they would want to use the unapproved routes. And so that is what they are doing. They are keeping their men. They have a collaboration from the police and the military to keep this sure that anybody who is coming in is checked. They will make sure that the person doesn't come in through the unapproved route, but to come and use the official border.
So were they searching passengers on vehicles?
Sorry?
Albert, did you witness them searching any passengers?
Well, at the time that I was there, no passengers had arrived from Burkina Faso. So I didn't see them search anybody because of that. However, there were some truck drivers who said that they were in Burkina Faso, they were in Ouagadougou coming from Mali when, they were stopped because the incident had happened at the time. So, they had to spend the night in Ouagadougou because the security there was very tight and they were not allowing movement just like that. Apart from that, there were some residents also that I spoke to who were saying that they, following what they are now a little bit worried about their safety because, the Paga border is not too far from Burkina Faso. So if terrorists are this close, it means that our security will have to be doing more. Okay. Now, the sector commander, the controller of immigration, to use his right title, what he said was that they cannot give us every single detail of the security measures that they have taken, because if they did that, it also means that they may just be exposing themselves for people to take advantage of the loopholes. But what he said is that we should rest assured that there's nothing to be scared about.
All right. Albert Sorry, thank you very much. That's our Upper East Regional Correspondent, Albert Sorry, there with an update of what he witnessed at the Ghana-Burkina border. We're talking Paga to be precise. Are you surprised by any of the things that he said?
No, I'm not surprised. When you have you're dealing with like what's happening, you don't also want to create panic. If you bring in lots of men all of a sudden to the border area, you create panic, and you have a situation where people begin to wonder whether it's even safe to be in that area. What you do is to have a subtle arrangement, and what he's saying is that they are focusing on unapproved routes for now.
So these unapproved routes,
some are footpaths, some are paths that have been created several years ago.
Do you know of all these unapproved routes?
Yes. We've mapped out this country and we have various sectors. The sectors are catchment areas for border patrol officers to patrol. And in every sector, they know the number of unapproved routes that are used by persons who live close to the border. So those are the points that people can easily take advantage of. But I would also have to quickly add that it's about time we arm our men. The army has given us some 200 decommissioned SLR weapons. We need to buy ammo for those weapons. But our bill is in Parliament. We are praying that this bill will pass through quickly so that we can have a legal basis to wield.
So as you guard the borders, what are you using?
We are using experience. We are using
batons.
Experience, as in you are an experienced officer and you are standing there.
You know, let me explain. It's not always the case that you need a gun to effect an arrest.
I know, you know,
Yes.
like tomorrow's demonstration, for instance, the police, I had one big police officer saying, use the approved accoutrement.
Yes.
But if you are standing at the border, man, and you're faced with a possible terrorist or somebody is coming to attack us, you can't use the same accoutrement.
Unfortunately, the Select Committee on Defense and Interior and our parliamentarians are also eager to help us get the right accoutrement to be effective along the borders. And so we are hopeful that when they get back to Parliament, our bill will be passed. And then
Until then?
Until then, we have to collaborate with the police and then the military.
But you know, just quickly on this one, the reason this process of passing your bill has stalled is because of this Foreign Affairs and Interior Ministry who is responsible for issuing visas. Has that been resolved? Because you were going to Parliament to answer a few questions.
As at the time, we think that it was a discussion between the Ministry of Interior and Foreign Affairs and the Executive and Parliament. So we do not have details of what's going on, but we are hoping that once they resume, the process will continue and then we'll have this bill passed. It will be very, very important to equip the service with the right legal regime, which will then help us get the right logistics to be even more effective. So we are hopeful, but we believe that our men still are high in terms of their morale. They're doing the best they can. But you shouldn't also underrate the security of this country. If you recall, a few weeks ago, there was this British national who came into the country. And her officers, not GIS per se, but the police service managed to arrest him. We have a way of managing the security of this country. Sometimes it's not visible to you, the ordinary citizens.
Do we track every person that enters the country?
You can't track every person that enters the country. So you have to find other ways of looking out for persons you think are undesirable. We have what we call the watch list system at our entry points. And so anybody who comes through this country, your details are run through the watch list. Once your name is not hit as an undesirable element, the presumption is that you are clean. And so would not follow you everywhere you go. We don't even have, it's not even easy for America to do that. They have 11 million undocumented foreigners in their country. So what you do is to rely on information from your citizens. At the same time, you rely on the collaboration with other security services to ensure that persons who live in your country are compliant with your rules.
So finally, how long are we going to be tightening security for? I'm sure somebody's watching and thinking, oh, we'll do this for a week and then, yeah.
No, I told you this started in December. It's not as if we just realized the need to step up our security. It started in December and it's going to continue until such time the national security says that we should step it down a bit.
Okay, so I'll let you go now. Thank you very much, Mr. Francis Palm-Dirty, who heads Public Affairs at the Ghana Immigration Service. He joined us for this bit of the conversation. When we come back, Mr. George Lowe, who is MP for North Dai constituency and also a member of PAC, will be here, but Honorable Obiamwa is staying with us for that as well. So stay with us. All right, some 27 minutes after it. Joining us is the Honorable George Lowe, MP for North Dai constituency. He's on the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, also on the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament. Good morning to you. Still here with us. Happy New Year. Yes, I didn't enter the new year. Oh gosh, but you look okay.
Yeah, I'm very fine.
You're not going back to Parliament. That's sad.
No, it's not.
As in, you're back in Parliament 2016.
Yes,
But you don't get to go back.
Yes,
after
but
that?
there's nothing sad about that one.
Oh, it is. We'll miss you.
I think you're very important.
A very
member
good
of Parliament.
material.
Yes.
Well,
Interested in parliamentary work. That's the most important thing.
I'm excited and I'm humbled by the fact that many people have said that. But I am of the view that this is a big country and you are capable of contributing your quota from any side of the divide. Any sector, anything. You are capable of doing anything. Even just being an ordinary citizen, I have acquired quite a bit of experience and knowledge about parliamentary proceedings. I can still contribute a lot. I think that's, I mean, it's...
Well, was it the and this is not part of the conversation, by the way, was it the some big NDC persons in the region who worked against you, because that's one of the things I've
Why
heard.
do you want him to talk about what happened?
There was, all I can say is that there were several
Factors.
and you will not
That will be
rule
another
out,
time.
yes, you will not rule out all that, but I mean, it's politics, and politics has its own dynamics. So it's for me, it's a transition. You are in a transition. We are not out. We are mainstream. We are going.
When we were growing, there was a fleet of buses. In front was Henry, that's owned by Henry Yaba, and every back of the bus was I shall return. So probably he's planning to return.
Well, yes, it's one of it's one of the options you have, but you have several options. I mean, where I have reached in party and in politics, my options are unlimited, and I will choose them as and when the time comes. But for me now, the most important thing is that working for JM 2016, we need to be empowered to even talk about
returning.
Yes, so
sure. But also staying with us, and you've heard him, you've seen him, Honorable Osei Bonsu Amwa, MP for Equiapem South constituency, on the Education, Youth, Sports and Culture, Local Government and Rural Development and Subsidiary Legislation Committee, which he chairs proudly.
Well, you have to update your records.
Oh yeah, the Youth, Sports and Culture.
I'm no more Youth, Sports and Culture.
Starts with the reshuffle. We heard late yesterday that there was going to be a reshuffle. Indeed, there has been one this morning. Prosper Douglas Barney is coming back. Remember, he was Chief of Staff. He's coming back as Interior Minister Designate, which means Mark Weyongo is out. Edwin Neelante van der Poy, Minister Designate for Youth and Sports. That's what he is now. But as it is now, before this appointment, he's Deputy Minister Local Government Rural Development, in fact, one of two deputies. Alexander John Akom is Minister Designate for the Ashanti region. He now, before this appointment, Deputy Minister of Children Social Protection. Kweku Ricketts Hagan is now Minister Designate for the Central Region. Mavis Amafrimpong is Minister Designate for the Eastern Region. Abdallah Abubakar is Minister Designate for the Northern Region. And Albert Abongo is Minister Designate for the Upper East Region. Quickly, and Yosei Okra is Deputy Minister for the Ashanti Region. And Robert Baba Kuganap Lem is Deputy Minister Designate for the Upper East Region. Any surprises? Fifi Kwete, by the way, is now Minister for Transport. Alhaji Mohammed Muniru Limona is a new Minister for Food and Agriculture. Was this expected?
Well, if it were a soccer match, you would say the last quarter of the match. And obviously, the team is down. Probably they're hoping that this team will come and salvage the whole team, and then maybe get a better score line. But it's a difficult process. Even for a president to assemble his team, you have to look at the constitutional aspect of it, the ethics principles of state policy, the balance, gender, regional, majority from parliament. And then, of course, you look at the competence and temperament of the person going to run or head a ministry. So it's a difficult process, but we've been anticipating it. Obviously, because number one, two key ministries had their ministers leaving, resigning as power and transport. So those positions had to be filled. So whether they were going to reshuffle existing ones or they're going to bring new ones, obviously there would have been reshuffle. We are told that this is the first part of it, which means more is coming. But obviously you notice right away that for regional ministers, majority of them are leaving. And for key regions like Ashanti, the instability is showing because the regional minister was appointed quite recently. Honorable Anefi, the former headmaster of Tepa Secondary School, he decided to go for a parliamentary seat, lost heavily, and then alongside created a lot of division in his constituency in Tempa. So probably the government has felt more useful. They are bringing a new person who is a candidate from Obuasi to head the region. And the region has had so many ministers under this government, which shows that they are still looking for the right person to run the show for them. And for Eastern region, my region, the substantive one is going. We've also had so many ministers. The President Chief of Staff was sent there briefly. Then the President Water Regional Minister went to hold the fort. This deputy minister who is being promoted has been deputy minister all along. Now, if the government feels that she can run the region, she's been nominated. So we'll see what will happen. When we come to Agric, Fifi is moving on to transport, a new person is coming in. But the major, larger issue is the criteria for even asking some to go and then bringing in some. Is it based on performance? Is it, if you look at Agric is not doing well at all. Agric not doing well at all is not even largely because of probably the individual there, but because resources have not been pumped in there. But for Agric to record 0.04% growth when the target was 5.7 at the beginning of 2015 shows that we have a lot of problems. For instance, if you earmark 391 million for Agric sector and then end up giving out only 90 million, if you pay for only half of the fertilizer that you anticipated would be distributed to farmers, if for ABFA you give a great paltry sum of 30 million as compared with capacity building, which is 271 million, and even for the 30 million you gave out only 26, then the issue then is, they need all these resources to be able to deliver. If they couldn't deliver, would you attribute it to those running it, or it's because they didn't have the resources? You can go on and on and on. We are told that this is probably the first one. Of course, the interesting aspect is Babani coming to Interior. We understand he has some security background. Even at the presidency, he was part of the security team. Let's see what he's bringing on board at Interior. But this is a very testing time for the government for attention on terrorism. And with this Gitmo thing that we haven't even assimilated or had the opportunity to do all the assessment, and they were hit by Burkina, this Burkina thing. So for Interior too is critical. But as I said, this is the last quarter of the very hectic match for the NDC. And with all these issues, I'm sure more names will come out as to those who are replacing whom. Obviously, to prepare the government to fight for the 2016 elections, as to whether they'll be able to do it and keep the government in power, we all live to see.
Mr. Lowe.
Well, thank you, and let me say good morning to our cherished viewers. Interesting analysis by my brother Obi. But more importantly, for me, I think that if you understand the inside workings of the NDC, I think the president has once again delivered a masterstroke. I'm sure that as the days go, as the days progress, you will begin to understand the import of that statement. Each and every one of these individuals is coming not only to answer to administrative strengthening of the president's government, but also come with some political, as it were, political strategic positioning, so that the president is solving two problems. Don't forget that the president has just had a retreat in Ho with all his ministers, and at that retreat, an analysis of the whole government and the governing process has been done, and that I believe that this of some of those, this rearrangement, I don't even want to call it a
So is this rearrangement the way you?
I mean,
is it for the party or this is for the people of Ghana?
That's why I'm saying that it's solving two problems. For instance, we have a security situation which
So
needs...
Makoyomo clearly couldn't handle it.
Wait a minute. We have a security situation where several angles need to be touched. So he brings in somebody who has a background not only in security but peace and conflict resolution. So clearly, this is a Prosper Bani coming back, not only, making a comeback, but also, and more importantly, coming with some expertise to bear on that sector. Going into an election, security is one key thing that we must all look at. And the president, in his wisdom, thinks that Prosper Bani, with his background as chief of staff, having worked with all the security agencies and received appropriate briefings in the past, possibly come as a more person to deal in that sector. So in the wisdom of the president, he makes that change. And of course, Prosper Bani also comes in to satisfy the voter region. Because the voter region, if you follow news, have been complaining that they have not been given as much clout as they should in the government. So, like I said, he solves two problems in one stroke. Like he said, some of these people are parliamentary candidates in various constituencies. So, it also enables them to, Ricketts, for instance, is a parliamentary candidate for Cape Coast South also, or North. Yeah. I think no. Now, he is deputy minister in Accra. But taking him to the central region as central regional minister, of course, he qualifies administratively, he's good. We all know what he has done in government so far. But now he's closer to his constituency.
But there's also a danger. I remember Honorable Obiamo sharing some useful information. If you send somebody like Mr. Akom, who is a deputy minister of Children and Social Protection, Obuasi West, you send him to the Ashanti region, he becomes a regional minister. How does he then also come to Parliament, which is in Accra?
Yes, but
recently we've had some absentee members.
He's not a member of Parliament.
Yes, but he's hoping to become a member of Parliament. But you have a better example in Ricketts Hagan.
Yes, I'm saying that, you see, with Ricketts, you do all the dynamics. How long does it, even as deputy minister, he says the sales challenge, so nothing is resolved.
Yeah, but with that, your central office is also here in Accra.
I'm saying that most of the time, his job as deputy minister takes him away from Accra anyway, and that accounts for the fact that he's not able to come to Parliament as much. And you will find out that the people who are purported to have sued the
absentee MPs,
you will find out that 98% of the list are ministers and deputy ministers. Clearly, when you are a minister, many other things take you away from.
Yeah, Parliament. But that's no excuse. I mean, you are supposed to be in Parliament to do.
Ricketts is not the only person who is a regional minister and a parliamentarian. The voter regional minister is a minister, she's a parliamentarian. There are many others who are. So for me, the important thing is that the president is going to an election. He thinks that apart from just work, various candidates must pay attention to their constituencies. So if he is in Cape Coast and he's running for a Cape Coast seat, for me, I think that it makes sense that he's closer so that he can do his campaigning whilst he's...
But I would not agree with you on that.
Well, I mean, we are not to agree with each other.
It makes it more personal.
No, you are making
but the thing is that he's supposed to supervise the whole region.
Yes.
Not only being close to his constituency.
Wait a minute. As deputy minister, he was in charge of virtually all sectors in the country, so it doesn't change anything. What I'm saying is that in many of these things, if you do your analysis and do your research, you will find out that the president seeks to maintain a certain balance. And so far, the list that has come, I think that to a large extent, that balance is maintained. And it again shows that there is clearly build to deliver 2016 to the end.
So high on the agenda for the reshuffle really is election 2016.
Really, no government would want to lose an election any other ways. A government going into an election would prepare for it in many different ways. This is one of them, and nobody, I don't think that even the president wants to shy away from the fact that, look, it is an election year, I'm building a team to be able to deliver victory for the NDC.
And then after the elections?
And also, after 2016, the president would reconstitute a new team like all presidents do.
For now, there is an election to win.
Okay.
And I don't see
would we see your name appear in the second list that's going to come out?
There's only one person who determines who goes.
Have you
where.
received the call yet? Because I'm told that you get a call
no,
before the list comes out.
There's only one person who determines what the list will come out.
If it's not been announced, you can't say
it is.
Have you received the call yet?
It is the president of the Republic of Ghana who will determine serves him in what capacity.
Okay.
So we leave that for the. But let me say that there are also interesting ones. Nilante Banapoy. I think that he's in a familiar turf. Sports journalist, very passionate about sports, and having been a sportsman himself, I think he comes to the job with some deep understanding.
That's a very dangerous ministry, by the way.
Well, but I think that he understands the issues well.
Well, I don't see
people don't seem to last there.
That's the unfortunate aspect, and for this government,
Obi lasted.
I stayed there for 4 years.
He was deputy minister, so maybe that was safe.
I stayed there for 4 years, but that's the unfortunate thing that is coming out every time. For that ministry, the attrition rate has been too high, and sometimes you wonder why that's the situation. If you know you have the right person, then send the right person there and keep him there. But this experiment is not helping that ministry at all. Nilante has all the experience and the knowledge and everything to succeed, but if you don't give him the resources, if you don't back him, for instance, this statement, 2009, first State of the Nation address, Professor Mills, go and read what he said about sports, that they have even come to meet a sports bill, which they will have to make sure that it's passed into an act to assist in governing the whole sports regime. As we speak, the bill is still not in Parliament. How long does it take for you to bring a bill which has already been prepared to Parliament? How many years? And without that legal framework, every minister will come and struggle. Because, for instance, how do we raise funds to run this whole sports sector? Is it every time they overrun their budget? Because whatever is given to them by first quarter is finished. So
I see you saying Nilante Banapoy will fail in the absence of a bill.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that he has all the experience and the knowledge to run that ministry. But if you don't give him the resources, the thing that he needs to be able to run the place, it will be the same old story.
Finally, and I'm afraid we don't have a lot of time to deal with this, but the Public Accounts Committee, which you're a member of, you've been and yesterday you were deliberating on something which a lot of us found rather very interesting. You're looking for ways to punish public officials who don't go according to the rules.
Well, we are not looking for ways to punish them. The ways are there. They are spelled out in the law. What we are saying is that as much as possible, it is the head of agencies who are supposed to do the punishment. So if they are not doing it, then we will have to now descend on them. Because if you are supposed to punish your subordinates, they infringe on the law and you refuse to. It means that you have also condoned. So we'll hit you first. And we believe that by doing that, you will be compelled to do the punishment. But the most interesting thing that came out yesterday was the fact that there's a new bill coming before Parliament, which would consolidate all our financial sector laws, make it in one law, where will be one single document that will spell out all these things. Because you see, now you may have to go to the finance, you have maybe like 3 or 4
Financial Administration
Act, then you have to go to all plenty of laws that anytime you are looking for something, you have to go into various sectors. Now they are bringing it all together and spells out exactly what you should do, and if you don't do, what punishment should be meted. And for me, I think it's instructive.
We'll find time to go into details of that.
Well, the challenge is that the Auditor General, for almost every year, laments that I asked that ministers, even ministries, etc., should do certain things. I regret to say that those things have not been done. If you pick the Auditor General's report on even district assemblies, it says that assemblies have done so many things which are against all our laws. We've asked even the Ministry of Local Government to look at these things. And you come back, and then this following year, the same complaints and reports come. As to, they have been complaining that beyond recommendations, there's little they can do. So the ball falls back in the course of government. That indeed, they have to react to some of
but we need to look at the administration. You see, I always say that all sort
we
of
have
laws.
to.
But because we don't work on our laws fast enough, you find out by the time you even pass a bill into a law, maybe what you sought to solve, another problem has been created. With these assemblies, I think that we should really look at the whole setup.
Okay. This is a conversation for another day into detail, but for today, I'd like to say thank you. I am so grateful, Mr. George Lowe and Mr. Obi Amwa. Thank you so much for your time. Gladys Osei-Redu is up next with entertainment. It's Ketsi Airtel, and she's going to wrap it up for us here on the show. So thank you for watching.